Somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, 200 miles northwest of tiny Midway Atoll, Admiral Chuichi Nagumo stands on the bridge of flagship carrier Akagi and watches as the first wave of aircraft lifts into pre-dawn sky. For 6 months, his carriers have known no defeat. They destroyed Pearl Harbor, sank British battleships off Malaya, swept through the Indian Ocean, sinking everything in their path. 4 carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, with the world's best pilots and invincible Zero fighters. This morning they go to finish what they started in December. Destroy the American base on Midway, lure remnants of American fleet into trap, end the war with one decisive blow. Nagumo has no reason to doubt. Intelligence says nearest American carriers are thousands of miles away, but 200 miles to the east, 3 American carriers wait in ambush. Enterprise, Hornet, Yorktown, America's last hope in the Pacific. They know Japanese are coming. They know when. They know from where. Codebreakers cracked Japanese codes, and Admiral Chester Nimitz positioned his ships in perfect ambush. Today, luck, courage, and few minutes will decide not just battle, but entire war in Pacific. This is a story of 7 hours that changed everything, minute by minute. On paper, forces are equal. Japanese have 4 carriers against 3 American. Their pilots are veterans with hundreds of combat hours. Their Zeros outperform American Wildcats in everything. Americans. Most pilots going into combat for first time. Yorktown hastily patched after previous battle. Devastator torpedo bombers obsolete and slow. But Americans have information. They know where Japanese will be, and that changes everything. At 4:30 a.m., first wave launches from Japanese carriers. 108 aircraft heading to destroy Midway. Hour-and-a-half flight over empty ocean. At 6:20, American patrol plane spots them. On Midway, activity explodes. Sirens sound. All planes scramble. Can't let them be caught on ground. At 7:00, Japanese rain fire on Atoll. Naval dive bombers attack fuel dumps. Kate torpedo bombers hit runway. Anti-aircraft fire creates wall of explosions. American fighters slash into Japanese formation, but Zeros are merciless. 17 American fighters shot down in minutes. Atoll burns, warehouses explode. But runway still works. American planes got away. Japanese strike leader realizes needs second wave. He radios Nagumo. There's need for a second attack. This message signs death warrant for Japanese fleet. 7:15 a.m. Nagumo receives message, needs second attack on Midway. At this moment, on his decks sit 93 aircraft of second wave, half-armed with torpedoes for ship attack. Standard precaution. Reconnaissance found no American ships. Nearest carriers, according to intelligence, 1,000 miles away. Midway still threat. Logic simple, rearm. Nagumo gives order, and on decks frantic work begins. 1-ton torpedoes removed from aircraft and laid right on deck. Bombs installed instead. Fuel hoses snake between aircraft. Decks of all 4 carriers transform into open-air ammunition warehouses. This will take only an hour, but 200 miles east, at this very moment, from American carriers, 116 aircraft are launching. 41 Devastator torpedo bombers, 67 Dauntless dive bombers, 8 fighters. They're flying straight at Nagumo. Hour he spends rearming will decide his fate. 8:20 a.m. Japanese scout from cruiser tone transmits message that freezes blood. Sight what appears to be 10 enemy surface ships. Enemy ships spotted. Nagumo demands clarification. What ships? Next 15 minutes are agony. On decks, rearming chaos continues. Half aircraft already have bombs, half still have torpedoes. Ordnance lies everywhere on open decks. One stray anti-aircraft shell, and ship explodes. At 8:30 comes clarification Nagumo feared. Enemy force accompanied by what appears to be aircraft carrier. American carrier. Here, now. Everything intelligence said was lie. They're not 1,000 miles away. They're in striking distance, and their planes already flying. Nagumo gives new order to stop rearming, put torpedoes back. But this takes time, and there's no time. First wave returning from Midway on empty tanks needs to land immediately or fall into ocean. Decks cluttered with ordnance can't land. Second wave not ready. Americans approaching, everything going wrong. At 9:01, first American aircraft appear on horizon. Devastator torpedo bombers from Squadron VT-8 off Hornet. 15 obsolete, slow machines against 4 carriers and dozens of Zeros. They're doomed, but they attack. This isn't battle. This is slaughter. Devastator torpedo bombers are slow, unwieldy, fly low over water to drop torpedoes. Perfect targets. Japanese Zeros dive on them from above like hawks on rabbits. Squadron VT-8 from Hornet attacks first. 15 aircraft go straight at Japanese fleet through wall of anti-aircraft fire. Zeros fall upon them, and torpedo bombers drop one by one. Lieutenant George Gay watches all his comrades shot down. He's only survivor from 15. His plane crashes into water. He climbs out and hides under life raft, watching rest of battle. Then comes VT-6 from Enterprise. 14 torpedo bombers. Same story. Zeros tear them apart. Squadron Commander Eugene Lindsay killed in first seconds. Of 14 aircraft, only 4 will return. VT-3 from Yorktown attacks last. 12 aircraft. By this point, all Japanese Zeros at low altitude hunting torpedo bombers. Of 12 aircraft, only 2 will survive. By 10:20, torpedo bomber attacks are over. Of 41 torpedo bombers, 35 destroyed. 6 survived. Hits on Japanese ships, 0, not 1. Torpedoes either missed or didn't explode. This is disaster. But torpedo bombers accomplished their mission without knowing it. They pulled all Japanese Zeros to low altitude. Sky above Japanese fleet is empty, and at this moment, at 20,000 feet, 37 dauntless dive bombers appear. Nobody sees them. 10:22 a.m. Lieutenant Commander Wade McCluskey from Enterprise was lost. He'd been searching for Japanese fleet over an hour, fuel running out. But he saw a lone Japanese destroyer running at full speed. McCluskey decided to follow its wake. Destroyer led straight to Japanese carriers. At 10:22, McCluskey sees them. 4 Japanese carriers. Decks cluttered with aircraft, torpedoes, bombs, fuel hoses. Worst possible time for attack. For Japanese. He orders dive. 37 dauntless dive bombers flip over and plunge down at 70-degree angle. Perforated dive brakes open with distinctive scream. Pilots watch Japanese ships grow in their sights. On Japanese ships, lookouts stare up and see death falling from sky. Too late. All Zeros below, chasing torpedo bombers. Sky empty. No protection. At 10:24, first bombs hit Kaga. 4 bombs, one after another. First, flash. Second hits ammunition storage. Third and fourth cause chain reaction. In 30 seconds, entire ship engulfed in flames. At 10:26, one bomb hits Akagi, Nagumo's flagship. Hit on aircraft elevator. Explosion goes down into hangar where fueled aircraft and ordnance sit. Massive secondary explosion tears ship apart from inside. Nagumo forced to evacuate burning flagship. At same time, 17 dive bombers from Yorktown attack Soryu. 3 bombs hit almost simultaneously. In 1 minute, ship transforms into inferno. 10:28, 6 minutes after attack began. 3 of 4 Japanese carriers burning and doomed. Battle for Pacific just changed forever. 3 Japanese carriers burning, but 4th, Hiryu, was far from others and escaped attack. Admiral Yamaguchi on Hiryu not giving up. He has only operational Japanese fleet carrier left. He has 18 Val dive bombers and 6 Zero fighters, enough for 1 strike. At 10:40, Yamaguchi launches his strike. He knows this is likely suicide mission, but he has no choice. 3 carriers burning, thousands of comrades dead. Must take revenge. Japanese planes fly 2 hours searching for American fleet. At noon, they find them. American F-4F Wildcat fighters try to intercept, but Japanese Zeros draw them away. Vals break through and dive on carriers. Their target, Yorktown. She's already damaged from previous battle, hastily repaired. Now she becomes target of Japanese Fury. 3 bombs hit ship. 1 penetrates deck and explodes in boiler room. 2nd destroys smokestacks. 3rd causes fire in hangar. Yorktown stops, lists, burns. Captain orders abandon ship. He thinks she's sinking. Over 1,000 sailors evacuate, but ship stubbornly stays afloat, fighting for life. Yamaguchi on Hiryu receives report. Hits on American carrier. Not victory, but some revenge. He prepares 2nd wave. He has Kate torpedo bombers left. 1 more strike. In afternoon, damage control teams return to Yorktown. Ship still floating, so there's chance to save her. Sailors fight fires, patch holes, try to correct list. At 14:30, 2nd wave launches from Hiryu, 10 Kate torpedo bombers and 6 Zeros. Final strike of last Japanese carrier. They fly an hour, find Yorktown still afloat, and attack with fury of desperation. Torpedo bombers come from different directions simultaneously. Anti-aircraft fire shoots down 5, but wrest breakthrough. 2 torpedoes hit port side. Underwater explosions tear hull. Yorktown lists 26 degrees. This time she's really dying. Captain again orders abandon ship. But at this moment, American revenge catches Hiryu. Scouts from Enterprise found last Japanese carrier. 24 Dauntless dive bombers fall upon her. 4 bombs hit Hiryu. Like her sisters this morning, she's instantly engulfed in flames. By 5 p.m., all 4 Japanese carriers burning. Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu already sinking, or will be scuttled by their crews tonight. Hiryu fighting for life, but futile. By morning, she too will go under. Battle is over. 7 hours decided outcome. Japan lost core of her naval power. America lost 1 carrier but won war in Pacific. Yorktown refused to die. 2 days she drifted, listing 26 degrees, but stubbornly staying afloat. Tugboat Vireo tried to tow her to Pearl Harbor. Maybe she could still be saved. Teams worked on ship, pumping water, cutting metal to reduce weight on listing side. But Japanese submarine I-168 tracked wounded giant. Sub-Commander Captain Tanabe penetrated destroyer screen. Incredible achievement. June 6th at 1:30 p.m. he fired 4 torpedoes from less than mile away. 2 torpedoes hit Yorktown. Another hit destroyer Hammond, which was moored alongside Yorktown providing power. Hammond broke in half and sank in 4 minutes, taking 80 sailors with her. Yorktown received mortal wound. List increased to 40 degrees. Teams evacuated for last time. All night ship fought, slowly rolling over. At dawn, June 7th, 3 days after battle, Yorktown finally rolled over and went under. She took with her 141 sailors killed during attacks. But thanks to her sacrifice and courage of her crew, other 2 carriers survived. Japan lost 4 carriers and 3,057 men. America lost 1 carrier, 1 destroyer, and 307 men. Mathematics of war are cruel but clear. Numbers tell story. But behind numbers, people. 3 Japanese carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, were scuttled by their crews night after battle. Crews evacuated, torpedoes fired into own ships. They went under, taking bodies of hundreds of sailors who couldn't evacuate from burning compartments. Hiryu lasted longer. Admiral Yamaguchi refused to evacuate. He stood on bridge of his burning flagship and sang war songs until ship went under morning of June 5th. He took 416 crew members with him. Japan lost not just 4 ships. She lost core of her carrier power. These 4 carriers were fleet elite, with best pilots, best mechanics, years of experience. 248 aircraft destroyed, but worse, pilots. Japan lost over 100 experienced pilots who can't be quickly replaced. Training carrier pilot takes years. America lost Yorktown and 307 men, but Enterprise and Hornet survived. And more importantly, America could build new ships faster than Japan could sink them. Shipyards worked day and night, new Essex-class carriers already on slipways. By end of 1943, America would have dozen new carriers. Japan would build none to replace lost ones. But most important, momentum. Before Midway, Japan was invincible. After Midway, vulnerable. Psychological turning point of war happened in 7 hours on June 4th. How did America win battle it should have lost? First factor, intelligence. Broken Japanese codes meant this wasn't surprise. Nimitz knew where, when, and with what forces Japanese would come. He set ambush. Without this, American carriers would be in Pearl Harbor, and Midway would have fallen. Second factor, decisions. Nagumo made fatal decision to rearm aircraft for second Midway strike. Our lost rearming became our that killed Japanese fleet. When Americans attacked, Japanese decks were cluttered with torpedoes, bombs, fuel hoses. One hit, chain reaction. Third factor, sacrifice. 35 torpedo bombers destroyed without single hit. But they accomplished their mission. They pulled all Japanese Zeros to low altitude. When dive bombers appeared at 20,000 feet, sky was empty. No protection. Fourth factor, luck. Wade McCluskey was lost. Searched for Japanese overhour, fuel running out. He could have turned back, but he saw lone destroyer and decided to follow it. Destroyer led straight to carriers. Without this, McCluskey might never have found them. Fifth factor, courage. Pilots dove on 4 carriers surrounded by dozens of ships with anti-aircraft guns, without fighter escort, knowing many wouldn't return. They dove anyway. Intelligence, decisions, sacrifice, luck, courage. These 5 elements combined in 6 minutes on June 4th, 1942, and changed history. Battle of Midway didn't win war. There were still 3.5 years of bloody fighting ahead. Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. Thousands would die before war ended. But Midway was turning point. Before June 4th, 1942, Japan was advancing. After June 4th, she was retreating. Never again would Japanese fleet dominate. Never again would they dictate terms. 6 months of Japanese expansion ended in 7 hours. Red Wave that began at Pearl Harbor and captured island after island stopped at tiny Midway Atoll and began rolling back. American shipyards built new carriers. Flight schools trained new pilots. Industry produced thousands of aircraft. Japan couldn't compete. Each month, American superiority grew, Japanese weakened. In August 1945, when atomic bombs fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, path to that finale began here, in cold waters off Midway, where 4 carriers went under, where 35 torpedo bombers were destroyed for 6 minutes, where 307 Americans and 3,057 Japanese gave their lives. 7 hours, June 4th, 1942. Day that changed war. Day that changed Pacific. Day that changed world. This was Battle of Midway, minute by minute.